Welcome to the Black A History Channel. Please share this video and subscribe to this channel for more captivating content. African history is LGBTQ history, and the Congo Kingdom was no different. There were many ethnic groups within the region that celebrated LGBTQ people in their communities, though what they called them and how their societal roles played out differed depending on each community, but the examples are plenty. As a gay man who descends from this corner of the world, it's heartwarming to know that gay marriages, gender nonconforming, and trans people and gay men had respected roles that were all a part of that culture before and even during the Congo people's first interactions with European settlers. The Congo Kingdom was a sovereign kingdom and a large territory in Central and West Africa that existed before European colonization from the year 1390 to 1857. Though the Congo Kingdom was really a conglomerate of many different smaller kingdoms and ethnic groups within modern-day countries Angola, Gabon, Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Republic of Congo. For hundreds of years, many ethnic groups in these countries worked together as one and were revered as a formidable force and kingdom on the world stage for hundreds of years. Today, several countries in this area, particularly the Democratic Republic of Congo, are still seeing the strife and despair that has been echoing throughout that country since the horrors of colonization. The DR has struggled with warfare for several generations, and many of us paying attention believe this is directly correlated to the fact that the DR is one of the most naturally resourceful and mineral-rich places on Earth. Since colonization, the people of Congolese descent have struggled to keep political stability because it's very likely that the Western countries who profit from extracting the country's wealth are able to do so because the country is in chaos. Because of this extraction of wealth and constant warfare, the Democratic Republic of Congo has also been a place that has struggled with human rights issues, including LGBTQ rights. Now that the country is seeing a much larger escalation of violence in 2024, fatalities and atrocities against women and children are being reported by those on the ground. It's disheartening to hear that such a beautiful country and people are seeing an actual genocide, but the first step to changing this for the world to acknowledging that there's a problem in the first place. In wartime and poverty, women and other minorities are usually the first to experience attacks on their safety and life. Gay intimacy has never been formally punished in the DR's courts, but LGBTQ people, especially trans women, are heavily discriminated against and accused of witchcraft, which ironically is historically accurate for the area, but we'll get to that later. Even with all the horrible things happening in this country, as of April 15, 2024, the Washington Blade reports that Congolese politician Constant Mutumba introduced a bill that would criminalize gay intimacy from 1 to 5 years in prison. It's ridiculous that even with all the turmoil going on in his country, he still has time to attack minority rights that have caused no problems for the Congolese people, already heavily discriminated against in the country. Sirius Tekesela, a human rights activist, perfectly summed up my feelings on this waste of time and discriminatory bill, saying, quote, "The proposed bill does not go in the direction of improving the socioeconomic life of the Congolese people. It's not homosexuals who prevent you from doing your job well or breathing. This is a violation of human rights." End quote. That's why it's so important for us to be aware of our own African history before the religious persecution of Europeans who oppressed us negatively warped how we see ourselves and each other. The Congo Kingdom and its history is so special to me because after doing DNA testing, I was able to find the ethnic groups and tribes I come from, and a few of those groups were a part of the Congo Kingdom in modern-day Gabon. I have no sponsorship, but I love shouting out the website African Ancestry, which has helped myself and countless Black folk find out their tribes and lineage through DNA testing, so check them out. Because so much of the cultural history of the Congo people was passed down verbally and through storytelling, mythologies, history, and traditions of gay marriage and gender diversity was lost when the Belgians and Portuguese forced the Congos to convert to Christianity. Practicing indigenous beliefs is now considered witchcraft in these countries that are largely Christian and Catholic, and a part of that translates into homophobia and transphobia. Yet there are many instances of European priests who entered the Congo Kingdom as early as the 1500s and recorded many ethnic groups in the region who celebrated weddings between men and people who could change gender roles. Alan Merriam, an American anthropologist, discovered an alternative gender role in the 1970s called the Ketisha, where men dressed more like women and were allowed to socially opt out of men's work, but were still considered heterosexual. though the women Katisha behaved like men and women were allowed to have sex with other women. Giovanni Antonio Cavazzi was an Italian missionary who made note of the many queer characters and religious ceremonies he encountered on his time in Angola from 1591 to 1593, including that there were a group of men called the Ganga Ya, male wizards in charge of the sacrificial ceremonies in the community, who also had relations with men. Several Europeans, like the Portuguese military historian Antonio de Oliveira de Cordenaga, took note of social roles for many Angolan men, the Kimbanda, powerful wizards who had carnal relations with one another, particularly what is now the modern-day country of Angola. He wrote in his findings, quote, "Sodomy is rampant among the people of Angola. They pursue their impudent and filthy practices dressed as women. Their own name for those of the same sex who have carnal relationships with each other is Kimbanda. Some Kimbandas are powerful wizards who are much esteemed by most Angolans," end quote. To hold in high esteem means these gay wizards were celebrated in Angola and likely many other tribes of the vast Congo Kingdom. European priests like Gaspar Azevedo and Antonius Sequarius in 1616 noted that the Chibados or Kimbanda were men that sat and dressed like women and who married men to, quote, "unite in wrongful male lust with them." Even more shocking to them was the fact that these marriages were honored and prized. Again, there were gender non-conforming men marrying each other over 400 years ago in the Congo Kingdom, which is something that we need to discuss as modern descendants of Africa. With so much gay African history being overlooked while these discussions about human rights are going on, hopefully us discussing these realities within our own communities and social networks will disseminate this education to those willing to listen. So many countries throughout the African continent are only in turmoil because we as a people continue to separate ourselves from one another and find arbitrary reasons to oppress others in the name of progress. True progress will be when others' benign differences are no longer used as a reason to scapegoat others. LGBTQ rights is just one part of the destruction that has come to African descendants from colonization and oppression, and the sooner we learn to embrace each other's differences, the sooner we can heal and move forward.